of this and how much of, let's say, how much of discipline and culture and how much of basketball teaching happens on your training sessions?
Shots by myself, but I can run to the ball, I can come off screens, I can shoot like more difficult shots.
They need to become, let's say, professionals before they come to that professional league?
Literally, being a professional isn't you being in a professional league. Being a professional is a mindset.
You're 34. Why still do this?
You know, I like winning. I still haven't achieved everything I want to achieve basketball wise, and also my body feels amazing.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Basketball Body and Mind. Today's episode is a bit different again. It's recording that I made a year ago for my online clients, long before this podcast existed, so it doesn't follow the usual structure of the podcast. However, the main idea remains the same: to train your basketball body and mind, and that's why I decided to share it with you. Today's guest is Ishmael Fontaine, a professional basketball player and development coach who helps young basketball players reach their goals and use basketball as a tool for success. He also has played in other countries that gives him broader view for coaching system and developing players. This episode is packed with jokes and lessons that you don't want to miss. So let's get started.
So, Ish, thank you for joining us. And let's start with how do you describe yourself? Who are you?
So, see, these are the tough questions. I'm a basketball player. I'm a professional basketball player slash development coach for guys who are aspiring to be professional basketball players, or guys who want to use basketball as a tool to do something with it. That's the best way I could describe myself. As a basketball player, I probably would describe myself as high energy, catch and shoot player who's athletic, super decently athletic, 40-inch vert, decently athletic.
So, decently or super?
I used to be a super athlete, but I'm 34, so I'm very decent. I still can jump 40 inches. I did get checked. It did check. So, I could still play for 27 minutes of intense basketball. But anyone that tells you they can play for 40 minutes of intense basketball is 100% lying. I don't care if they're 19 to 34. You're telling a lie. You're one side of the ball is not doing it. You're either not playing defense or you're not playing offense. That's what I've learned.
Yes. So, like the first, like the at the moment, the only connection that we had was last summer in the camp. And what I want to say, like why I thought about you is during the camp, we would be like working from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m., sometimes even later. And you would show up early to shoot. Why?
Well, I have goals. So as much as I'm at the camp to teach, the first question I asked before getting on the camp was, will I have time to work out? That was the first question. Not how much am I going to be paid? Not where am I staying? Not is where the club's at. Yo, do I have time? At least an hour and 10 minutes a day to work out. And obviously the director said, yes, you could work out. So when I realized that, when I got there, and I saw the facilities, I was like, I'm going to make use of all of this. Even sometimes when the gym was open, I was in the gym at lunchtime when I should have been eating, because it's like, I want to have an efficient season. I want to be able to shoot the ball efficiently, over 40%. I'm shooting 47, 48% from three at the moment. And a huge testament is that camp, because I could wake up every morning, get in there, shoot hundreds, and it's more of a mentality of, I'm going to get in this gym. It's only 1 hour. It's only maybe 1 hour 10. What? I'm not going to be able to shoot thousands of shots by myself, but I can run to the ball. I can come off screens. I can shoot like more difficult shots. That in the long run, when I get back home and I'm shooting with a partner, I can just reel them off. So it's all about, when you're here for 2 weeks, make sure that you're getting your shots up. Make sure you're shooting with some sort of mentality of, you can't miss two in a row. You got to go 8 for 10. stuff like that. And then when the head coach of the camp started showing me the drills he was doing, the next day I was doing them. So I just added more to my repertoire, and I wanted to see what it felt like. In an unexpected bonus, um, teaching the kids the shooting drills that Mihai gave them. After experiencing them, I had better advice to give them. You know what I'm saying? So as much as I was shooting for myself, I could pass on knowledge in real time, saying I never did this drill before. I did it yesterday. This is my score. This is how I think I could improve. This is where I messed up at. This is what my footwork was doing on this shot. This is what my footwork was doing in this corner. So
Yes. Yeah, so
like,
lead by example. But then I have a
un-
follow-up. Listen, like you're 34. Why still do this?
you know, I like winning. Um, I still haven't achieved everything I want to achieve basketball wise, and also my body feels amazing. Like, why would I stop playing basketball when I put in the work every week, I put in the work every day. I'm still playing at a high level. I'm still as athletic as some of these young guys that are coming in. Like, this is the first year I've not been in the top three in the league as a team. I've traveled around, I played in Germany. I love basketball. I love it. And all the work I did prior from 14 to 19, that was a lot of stress and pain. And now I'm in the situation where I know what I'm doing. Why would I stop when there's nothing hindering me from doing it?
Yes. So you said 14, 15. So you have been this like all the time since that age?
Well, from 14 is when I started taking basketball really seriously. Um, I I'm from a football family, soccer for the American kid. I'm from a like huge football family. I've got professional footballers in my family. Um, but then I started dunking before I started playing basketball. I don't tell people. It sounds crazy, but I just started dunking before I started playing basketball. Then I realized, oh, this jumping is actually better for basketball than it is for football, really. So I'm just gonna try and play. And I love basketball. I love street ball originally. Like, and then I got to watch like professional basketball college basketball is what I fell in love with first. I watched Connecticut versus Georgia Tech in oof, years ago, where
Some kids haven't been born yet, probably listening.
they weren't even thought in 2003, 2004, whenever I watched that game. So, but I fell in love with it, man. Ben Gordon was playing. Um, And I thought he's an amazing basketball player. Then I found out he was born in England. And then he went to the Chicago Bulls. I think he got drafted to the Chicago Bulls that year. So I just started watching lots of college basketball, everything. And I thought, these guys are getting an education whilst playing on this huge stage. I want to do that. So it kind of just put me on that path. And then I realized I wanted to be a professional basketball player as well, after it. So it was always doing something like I always wanted to work in something that I wanted to do. I've never actually had an idea of what occupation I could do for money because money is finite. Even if you could like there's poor rappers right now that love rapping that said I'm gonna stop rapping now because I need to make money doing this. But money is this circle. You have it and then you don't have it. You have it and then you don't have it, no matter what you're doing. So why don't what you're doing be something good, something you like doing, something you're passionate about, something you get excited about, you know?
Yes.
So that was worth working, shooting in the snow, shooting in the rain, running 4 miles up a hill. That was worth all that to so
And
so
like when you remember this, you say like snow, rain, running up the hills, all these like long runs. Tell a little bit about the struggles that you had when you were young. Do you remember like anything like particularly stands out for you?
boy, British basketball players will all like understand the struggle of getting into an indoor court. Getting into an indoor court was the hardest thing. We had to sneak in sometimes, bro. I'm not proud to admit I've snuck into a lot of gyms, you know. They've got like this sport over here called badminton, bro. You know badminton, right?
I have played 7 years.
Yes, yes. You know badminton. In England, badminton is the arch enemy of basketball because they get all the courts for cheaper. So you can't get no court in England to play basketball for an hour. Badminton just fills up the court.
So what did you do?
Bro, we had to sneak in. Like I used to listen to school and we made a deal with the security guard of the school and we used to sneak in underground. They had like an underground passage. And when the security guard shift changed, the other security guard would come down and go, "What you guys doing in here?" And we used to skedaddle, bro, like empty. It was like, when you turn the light on and mice just run around. It was like that. It was crazy. So the gym access was terrible. The parks, I lived in a big drug dealer area. So the parks that you would shoot in, you don't know whether, like, sometimes you don't want to go to that park because something went down or there's drug addicts there. And when you're young, you're afraid of them. You're afraid of drug addicts. You're afraid of drug dealers. When you grow up, you just realize that they're not really trying to bother you. But there was fights, there was gunshots, there was dogs trying to chase people around. It was dangerous sometimes. It was really tough. Um, and just exposure. Like now these kids, they got YouTube and they got I can see any kid I want to see. If there's a kid that I've heard about, I could type his name into Google, his YouTube highlights come up, all these stats come up, everything, right? Back in the day, I wanted to go to America. I'm so old, by the way. I wanted to go to America. I had to film, my brother had to come to my workout, film me shooting and jumping and dunking and laying the ball up. I think I was about 15, and I had to send a tape, like an actual cassette tape, to America, yeah, and buy a phone card with my lunch money to call schools in America. That's what I was trying to do to get to America. Like
I
it was,
I couldn't find information about this. Like, did you get to the States? Like, you
I,
went?
I moved to Las Vegas to play AAU for a summer, and I played in the Adidas Super 64 and the Reebok Classic. I played against John Wall. I played against Tim Hardaway Jr., Peyton Seaver, who played in Germany for a while, but was on the Detroit Pistons. I played against a lot of now NBA players, like a lot. So it was an eye opener. That's when I knew I could be a pro. Because if they would have just destroyed, especially Tim Hardaway Jr., who cooked us in the first half, we sat in the zone. We didn't know. Our coaches in my AAU team should have known better to not leave Tim Hardaway Jr., who's one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA right now, open in a high school gym. And he had 20 in the first half, and I just boxed and won him for the rest of the game. He was quiet. We did lose, but I'm not saying that we won. But that's when I knew, oh, at least on a defensive level, I can play at a high level.
Yes. And did it turn out how you wanted from that
No,
point until now?
well, defensively, yeah, I don't feel like anyone can score on me. To be brutally honest, I'll guard you 94 feet. At 34, I'll guard you 94 feet, and you're going to be quiet. But of going to college and stuff became even more difficult because of visas and things like this. And my mum didn't want me to go to junior college. Very, very important. My mum said, if you get a junior college, you're not going. You're gonna stay here. So that's what I did. I ended up starting my professional career at 19. I wasn't ready. And that's one thing, another problem about England basketball in England. The coaching doesn't, that's why I coach the way I coach.
Mhm.
Because the coaching doesn't get these kids ready for the next level.
Explain a little bit. What do you mean by not ready? What do you were not ready? Is it like basketball tactics, technique, dribbling, shooting, strength and conditioning? What? Like,
Oh, strength and conditioning for sure. Because I had never lifted a weight in my life. Never lifted a weight in my life. Obviously now I live in the gym, but I never lifted a weight in my life.
until
Uh,
19 or until when?
until 19, never touched the weight. So I went to the gym and I couldn't lift the bar off the bench press. I couldn't lift it, and my teammates weren't great people. They laughed me out of that gym. I was so embarrassed. But actually, Drew Spinks, he's one of the best coaches in this country right now. Is the only one that helped me. Um, so you have that. Then you have expectations. I'm coming out from being one of the best players on my team or the best player on my team. I've been to America, I've come back. Mentally, I'm like, well, they're going to throw me the ball and they understand me and they know me. But you're playing with guys who've been playing professionally for 13, 12 years. And they're like, dude, why do you just keep looking at me like I'm just going to throw you the ball so you can go one-on-one? No, that's not how the game's played. You've got to learn sets. You've got to make reads. And obviously, being in London, that's never been an issue for me. I've never had to learn sets or anything like that. We just used to play, which is another reason why it's not acceptable. So all my college team, we have a system. My under 18s team, we have a system. It's not just plays where you can't express yourself, but there's actions where you're gonna have to be using them dribble handoffs, you know, pin downs, seals. You're gonna have to use this stuff from now until you whenever you stop playing basketball. And if you can do it and other people can't, you have an advantage. Period. Um,
So
just the professionalism as a whole, I was always early for practice. There was never a problem with that. But retaining stuff, it was difficult for me, and I wasn't prepared for it. But I grew into it, you know?
yeah, I mean, expectations like that, as you said, like when you, let's say you are the best at your youth team, let's say under 19, and then you expect, okay, I'll move up, I'll be, the first point guard, whichever position you are in, and then reality hits.
Brother, one coach said something to me. He said, Ishmael, we are trying to feed our families. We have not got time to teach you the ropes right now. You're gonna have to learn on the fly. We're trying to feed our families, bro. We're not just gonna let you have the ball and do all this stuff. We don't know you. We know this guy and this guy. We know we gotta play Newcastle on the weekend. You have to fit in. That's it. So a lot of these kids, they don't realize that either, man. They come over here and they're standing like, oh, yeah, let me see it. And the only place where that's acceptable is in a franchise league like the NBA. You got some really, but they're also, them players are also all the best players. For instance, Victor Wanyama, right? I watched him yesterday playing against Chet Holmgren, and he's playing 1-on-1. It's developing. There's no pressure for him to win or lose because you're new and everyone wants to develop you. But in cities like England, where the money's not high and the player turnover is a lot, you know, there's no time for that. There is no time. It's winning time. This team has to get it done.
So what you need to do for that young kid that you come, that you see, okay, I'm not getting the ball, I'm not like scoring, what then they should do?
They need to fit into their role and communicate. You go to a team, coach, what's my role? Your role is energy. We want you to come in here, shoot when you're open, guard your man 94 feet, and box out. That's what we want you to do. We don't need you to play 1-on-1. We don't need you. Sometimes coaches, we don't need you in the pick and roll. We don't need you to be the ball handler in the pick and roll. We need you setting more screens to get him open. But when you know your role, you start developing into your role. That's when coaches start trusting you to do other stuff because then you've got practice every day. I mean, we practice every day in the BBL. When I played in the BBL, we practice every day. So you start getting better at stuff, and then it's up to you after. So if there's a 13-year vet, 10-year vet, 6-year vet that's been playing professional basketball for 6 years, right? And he's in the gym before you, you're in trouble. You better be in that gym before him. You better be in the gym before the coach is there. You better be in the gym. If you need to get your ankles taped, you better not get in the way of the 6-year vet getting his ankles taped because he gets his ankles taped at 10 every morning. You better be there at 9. And you better be getting your shots up before because when I was my 22-year-old self, I shot the ball very well at 22. But I would kill that guy now. That 22-year-old that I was shooting against, now from that 22-year-old that was in the gym at 6, I used to practice twice a day sometimes. 7 a.m. to 9, then 9 to whenever because my coach was crazy in the BBR. He had us do a 4-hour practice one time because we lost against Glasgow, I think, and they had 2 of their best players out and we lost. So we came in and he made us practice from like 9 till it felt like 1:30, something crazy. So guys, rookies, you what you want, you have to put the time in because no one knows you. Now, let's say you're a rookie 3-point shooter. You might, and you was a good 3-point shooter at youth level. Professional defenses, you're not gonna see it. They're gonna bump you off them screens. They're gonna chase you around. They're gonna pull your shirt. They're gonna look for the ref and trip you. Like you have to be incredibly resilient to then make a shot over someone who's a good defender and someone of professional height. You know what I'm saying? You go
Mm.
to youth level, you might play against a bunch like every month, every week, you might see a bunch of 5'11" dudes. 180 centimeters, 182 centimeter players at the four sometimes. There's not a lot of these big kids. Well, not Lithuania, but a lot of these big kids running around. You go play professional basketball, the two guards 6'5", the three man 6'7", 6'6", and they're the ones that are chasing you around off these screens. So you got to elevate and shoot it. So it's a grind, and it's like you have to be super honest with yourself as a pro. What translates to the next level? Like, I don't know how many of these kids I watch them and they're killing in the youth level, and I'm like, when you become like a proper player and like you have to play against, that's not gonna work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's
So
it's
they need to become, let's say, professionals before they come to that professional league?
literally being a professional isn't you being in a professional league. Being a professional is a mindset. It's literally a mindset. When you have a game, are you in the club the night before? Are you with your friends the night before till 4 a.m.? Are you on your phone? Are you on your PlayStation till 4 a.m.? What time are you eating your food? What time are you doing all this stuff? That doesn't just happen when you're a professional. It's have to, you want to be a professional. So why wouldn't you act that way? I'm not saying don't go and have fun, don't enjoy yourself. I'm saying that there's way more time to do all that because none of that stuff is going anywhere. The club, your friends, your PS5, none of that stuff is moving. Nothing. But your career is already a ticking clock. As soon as you start your first game, it's a ticking clock. And what actually ends up happening is if you're not getting in that game in the first year, you better figure out how you can get some minutes in the second year. Because if that second year you're not playing, guys are gonna start looking at you like, I don't think he's gonna cut it at this level. I don't think so. And you don't want to be in that situation for any reason. You don't want to be the guy that they can't rely on in defensive rotations. You don't want to be the guy that doesn't know the plays. When I learned how to retain plays, the way I learned how to retain plays, bro, I would go home, right? I teach my kids this now and draw a basketball court on a piece of paper and get pennies out and just move them around. That's what I would do. So then I now know where everyone is supposed to be.
Yes. Yes.
I,
I mean, 100%. I wonder uh, how many, let's say, what is the percentage who would draw those, with the pencils. But listen, like you are the coach also. So how much of this and how much of, let's say, how much of discipline and culture and how much of basketball teaching happens on your training sessions?
oh man, so in early in the season, I try. It's all about defense. So our defensive structure, I want to give up 15 points a quarter against teams. I want to give up 15 points. So I want to change our defense every single time we shoot a free throw. I want to change our pick and roll defense depending on how good the big man is and or how good the guard is. So it's a lot of intricate teaching of how to guard a pick and roll, how to trap a pick and roll, how to ice a pick and roll, boxing out, and there's prerequisites. If you don't do this stuff, you can't play. If you do not box out, you cannot play on this team.
Even if he is the best player, let's say scoring the most.
I promise you, he won't play. I promise you. He will be on because there's no point in having a good scorer who gets scored on all the time. I promise you, I'm not dealing with that. So you're not going to play. I'll figure it out. You could be, and I've done that before. I've cut my best player. My best offensive player, I have cut. I've done that before. I have no issue. So you don't box out, you don't play. You don't talk on defense, you don't play. You make an excuse, you get subbed. I'm not gonna cut you for making an excuse because that's something that's in a mentality change. It's a mentality shit. You're getting cut. You don't learn the rookies. If you don't learn the plays, you're definitely not going to play because your jump shot's not going to be ready. Defensively, you're not going to be super ready as the other guys. So if the bare minimum is for you to learn the play, and the thing is, with my best players on my team, which I'm proud to say are my best defenders. I've got one kid. He's a 6'5", 3-point shooter, really athletic, but he's my best defender. I've got another kid who was a 6'2", 3-4, 1-2-3 actually, 1-2-3, who can post up. He's very skilled in the post, who is my best rebounder. And he can't jump over. He just started dunking last week. He can't jump. And he gets 10 plus rebounds a game from box outs.
Yes, and then besides basketball, like, I could not believe that you don't teach what you just have told us, like, about the habits, culture, discipline, consistency, all of these things. That is also part of the basketball coaching for you, isn't it?
100%. 100%. Like consistency and culture gets you out of so much tougher spots because there's things that you can't control. Like literally in a basketball game, you cannot control how the ref is going to be on the road. You can't control how slippery the floor is. You can't control. You can do certain things that control your shot going in, but you might have a bad night. It could happen. God willing, it doesn't. Right? But boxing out, you can control that. 100%. You can control your effort on boxing out, and defense has always been a choice. Always. You know, you watch the NBA right now. There's guys that you see, like James Harden. Like, how are you not good at defense? How are you getting blown by on defense? How are you notoriously bad on defense? Notoriously, like throughout the league, people are going at. How is that possible? Like, I could might maybe understand when Shaquille O'Neal used to get all the flack for being bad defensively in the pick and roll, because laterally he's not the greatest. But James Harden, you're a guard, and for me, the position you are is the position you can defend. That's just my honest opinion. Like, that's part of it being important. That's part of the whole thing. So
So
go
the
ahead.
thing.
So it's just that's part of the culture. If you can't play defense here, you can't play.
Yes, and part of the culture, like, this comes from, um, what's the name? I forgot, about the Australian football, about Legacy, is a book like Legacy about Australian football, and it was part of the culture for them, for example, to lift. You haven't lifted till age 19. Do you do now with your kids that?
Oh, 100%. Because I wouldn't call that culture. I would just call that as one of the biggest things as coaches, as a coach for me, is I want to give the guys that I have something that I didn't have. I want them, if you can lift at 17, at 16, not crazy, not pig eyeing, like, but smartly, where your strength, where you're looking after your body, you know? I stole a bunch of stuff from you. Uh, if you can do this stuff, you'll be ready for the next level when they're teaching you more stuff. You could upgrade it, you know?
You mean next level? You mean like professional league, or what do you mean by?
Professional, right? Professional, because at the end of the day, every team lifts weights. I've noticed every single team lifts weights. Every team I've been on, they have weights. They have a weights program. When I was in Germany, my second year, we did CrossFit 3 times a week. It was the first month I was in perpetual agony. Like, I was so sore every day from doing deadlifts and clean and jerks and pull-ups and timed. You know, you got to do 10 and go to the next one and row 1,500 meters on the rower before you even start lifting.
Hey, this is not
What?
advert for CrossFit, by the way. Just
No, this is not an advert for CrossFit. I'll be brutally honest with you guys. I actually don't think it's the smartest thing to do. But it was, if I never lifted weights before, if I had never lifted weights before, and had, this was my year 5 in my basketball career. If I'd never lifted weights before, I would have hurt myself. I would have injured myself. Like, I could have done something really bad to myself. But if I didn't lift weights that entire summer, didn't shoot every day, didn't go for runs every day, that would have killed me. Like, it wouldn't have just been soreness. Because it's CrossFit. So it would have hurt. I would have been in more pain, and I might have done myself an injury. But because I had that kind of idea of what weights was, and I understood certain aspects, at least squats, at least shoulder press, I could do them until I came up to the coach and said, "Coach, we're doing this 3 times a week. This is bad for my shooting mechanics. It's bad for my bones hurt. you know, could we have a discussion? And it went down to 2 times a week, but he wanted us to do it. So I would hate for one of my kids who wants to be a professional to go and have to do, some of these coaches are crazy, man. They make you run like 60 for 60 minutes non-stop. Like that's gonna help you on the basketball court. I'd rather do 60 minutes of sprinting, taking a break, sliding, jumping, running backwards than 60 minutes running around a lake. Do
Yes.
you know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes,
But
yes. That's for sure. That's for sure.
you you have to, part is playing the game. You can't just say, "Well, no, I don't agree with it. I'm not going to do it." You'll get sent home. You have to physically know how to do this stuff because it's leverage. You don't do it, they'll bring someone else in to do it. And once the coach sees you working hard and doing your best, once you say, "Coach, like I don't think this is," I think this is quite dangerous because we had some of my guys were making excuses for why they can't come. Oh, I'm sick. Oh, da, da. And I was like, I'm not going to do that because that person can't be counted on when they do something they don't agree with. But I'm just not going to do that. No.
I These are very valuable things, and I didn't know like many of these things that fit the yes.
CrossFit was crazy. Our trainer, Annette, she was this lady, bro. When before I signed, they were telling me about I had to get my CrossFit stuff sorted out. Like I had to fill out this form, and I met the woman, and her picture was her pulling a bus. She was German's strongest woman, and her picture was her pulling a bus. And I sat there and I thought, I'm in trouble, bro. This woman's pulling a bus. And I Googled what CrossFit was. And I saw, you ever watch a CrossFit video with the powder slamming and the screaming? I was like, this is not the holistic weightlifting session I thought we would. Exactly. And some aspects, I learned things. I learned how to do a pull up correctly. I learned how to do stuff, but the burpees, burpees and you know, the kipping pull-ups and you've got to do 10-minute rounds of this and it's all different. It's just for basketball players who are gonna then go on the court for 2 hours and play basketball, then gonna play, and then you do it, your last session's on Thursday, your next game's on Friday. Maybe you need 2 days to recover. It just wasn't conducive of successful basketball. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
Yes. I really agree with you, and I'm very happy that you are saying this, not me, you know? But look, so I hope your kids in the college or in the school, the high school that you teach them basketball, I hope that you don't do CrossFit. But few of the quotes that I have from you that we like we went back and forth on the IG, and I want to read them, and I would like you to like briefly just touch what do you mean by that? So the first one was kids care about the end result, which is making shots, then doing it correctly. Missing doesn't get the highlights, therefore, in their mind, it is a mistake.
right. So I teach a kid how to shoot. A kid shoots incorrectly, 1 on 0. 2 hands, whatever. It goes in. They take that and say, "Well, I'm not gonna listen to what the coach says," because this world now is so difficult for kids. They're absorbing highlights without any sort of contextual data behind it. So, for instance, Mikey Williams was one of the best high school basketball players, super athletic, dunking it, shooting step back threes. The kid shoots 22% from three in high school. Like, so whatever he's doing, either shot selection, I didn't like his jump shot, period. Um, he's not doing it at an efficient level. He's doing it at a highlight level. And highlights, no owner of a team, no coach of a team is ever just gonna watch your highlights and say, we need that guy. They're gonna watch full game film. If you can't go left, if your highlights of you are going right the whole time because it was easier for you to practice going right, because that's your strong hand and that's what makes all the layups, teams will send you left. Literally, you will not get on your right hand at all. They will send you to the basket left. So kids need to be very honest with themselves and say, what is my weakness? And take it down to the footwork. Footwork. People watch Kyrie Irving and seeing him do all these crossovers and through the legs, but they don't watch his feet. He has some of the best footwork in the NBA. Do you think he was just sitting down dribbling the ball with his strong hand the entire time for him to be better with his feet? No, he's seen how to open up his body, how to open up his hips to make a defender think he's going one way and go the other way. It's all his feet. There's the NBA. They all can dribble the ball. They all can do two ball dribbling and film it and put on Instagram and look amazing. It doesn't make them better. So you've got these kids that will just sit in the gym and shoot, and if it goes in, that's good. That's it. But they don't care about the rotation of the ball. They don't care about the catch. They don't care about the pocket of their shot because all that stuff matters in a real game. If your pocket's too low, the defense is going to shift over to you before you even release the ball. If you're stepping in with the wrong foot, you're going to be easier to guard when you try to rip through and pump fake. So
So
all this stuff is attention to detail, and these kids don't want to do that. They want to get in the gym, film it, put it on Instagram, get the likes, and that means you're a good basketball player. And that is just not the case.
yes, so you said no attention to detail. So then that second quote and the last one quote that I have is like no patience and attention to details in this fast world.
You in this world, you have a player, you're 18, let's say I'm a 15-year-old basketball player, and I go on YouTube and I watch Hoop Mixtape, and there's a 15-year-old basketball player dunking the ball, 360, shooting, crossing people over, doing all this amazing stuff. I'm gonna go and emulate that because that's what I've seen today. But I started playing basketball at 14. He started playing basketball at 10. So in 5 years' time, I could actually learn more than him because he might not even he might age out. He might just be like, oh, I was the best high school player. Like there was a guy called Seventh Woods. He plays in Ireland right now. He's one of my favorite high school basketball players of all time. His game has not changed. And that's not a disrespect to him. He's a great basketball player. But he is the same basketball player he is now at 30 that he was when he was 15. Because that's where I guess where his ceiling was. But if I have patience and I know I can't do this right now, I need to focus on what the priorities are because fundamentals stay with you forever. There's not one basketball player that I know who doesn't form shoot. There's not one basketball player that I know doesn't form shoot. There's not one man that I watch work out who doesn't do micins, who doesn't work, get in the post and work on his footwork. There's not one. And these are things that you're doing when you're 10. These are things that we're teaching you at camp that you could do when you're 25, making money, doing it, you know? I scrimmaged with a couple of professionals during the camp at night. They're form shooting. One of them plays in top league Lithuania and one of them played in second league Spain. They're form shooting. They're warming up the right way. They're stretching. These kids these days get on the court and go, let's scrimmage. Let's just play one on one. And it's just there's no competition. You've got to take more like losses when you're young to win when you're old. And I'm not saying don't compete. I'm saying compete your butt off. Work your hardest. But make the reads. Don't just do things. If you want to be a professional player, if you want to be a good player, don't just do things because they're fun. Because shooting is fun. I won't lie to you. Shooting is super fun, right? Dribbling is not so fun. Um, Stretching is not fun. For me, it's just not fun. But these are things I'm gonna have to do for the rest of my career if I want to play basketball. Watching game tape is not fun. I promise you. I watch game tape every Thursday on the team that we're gonna play. And it's not fun watching other teams play basketball who are not teams I support, who I have some sort of love for. It's teams that I've got to play on the weekend. And I want to know what he's going to do when he has the ball in this situation. And having to rewind it and watch it again, having to see the help side defense and their coverages. It's not fun, but you're going to have to do it for your entire career if you want to be a pro. And that takes patience. It just does. It just does. There's no quick way to scout a basketball game. There is just not. There's a quick way to get it wrong. There's a quick way to get your footwork wrong, to have your jumper wrong. There's basketball players right now who can't shoot because of lack of detail when they were young and lack of leadership when they were young.
Yes. I mean, I had the last question, the advice for young players to become professional, but you already gave it. So it's
Good. I mean, another other things. I got other things for like if you want to be a basketball player, your mind is the biggest tool. Is the most. If your mind goes, you can get injured. You know, you could have a coach that doesn't really want you there. You could have an agent. You could have anything. Your mind has to be strong. Your mind has to be strong. And what I mean by mind have to be strong is you could play a game. I played a game, dude. I'll tell you this story. I was in Germany, and whilst I was in Germany, in my first year in Germany, I was third in 3-pointers made and third in 3-point percentage in the entire conference of our thing. And I was playing the least minutes. So I was really excited and I thought I'm gonna keep going, I'm gonna keep going. And this actually happened because of my anxiety of being bad. I shot every day. I shot every morning with my teammate, my American teammate who's a high school coach now. One week, I promise you, it felt like I missed 2 shots in them 5 days. I don't remember, like it was ridiculous. I was shooting the ball incredibly well. I went 0 for 6 from three. I went 0 for 6 from three, bro. I came home and I laid in my bed and I was so angry at myself. But then I just closed my eyes and I meditated for the rest of the day. For the rest of I meditated for about 30 minutes, read a book, and went to sleep. And the next week I didn't shoot nearly as closely as good as I shot the week before, and I was 3 for 4. Your mentality has to be really good. If you're not playing in the NBA, in the Euro League, in these massive leagues, if you're playing domestically, the infrastructure now might not be as good as you hear from all the other guys. How are you going to react mentally? You might have a coach who shouts at you. How are you going to react mentally? You might have a teammate who you don't particularly get along with. How are you going to react mentally? Because it's all on you. When you're a basketball player and your agent calls you or your teammate calls you and says, "We want you, we're going to get you here," you're providing a service. Like when kids come to camp or they come to see you, you're providing them a service that's going to make them better. Just like a plumber, just like the TV repairman, anything. But basketball player, you're providing a service to that team. So mentally, you have to be on point. You're the CEO of your own decisions. That's literally it. So that's the biggest part of being a professional is your mentality.
your mental game, regardless of all these difficulties or anything, all the misses, just have to get your mind right. If somebody wants to get mind right and contact you, what would be the best way to connect with you?
Oh man, I still talk to all my kids, all the kids in Lithuania, in Estonia, the kids from Estonia, anywhere. Instagram is the easiest thing. You just message me on Instagram, we'll have a long conversation, man. I got time for everybody.
Hey, thank you very much. It was very insightful, very good advices. And if somebody will take at least half, at least 10% of what you said, they will become professional basketball players.
I hope so, bro. Good luck to everyone out there, man.